تشوفه only. That's all I'm asking you to do. His name is Bashir Lopatan. Right here. بكتبه هون.
Yeah, big.
Okay, so Sheikh Ahmed Hammoud Mardini Asher Lopatan. Yeah, and then just recognize it's the same time as Christian Mass. Pastor's going to be here. Christian, Allah Alam right now. IAN.
Salamat.
Salam alaikum. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Rashida's contact below.
Rashida.
Hi, how are you? How's everything? Hi, how's everything going? You're running for school president, I see. I'm so excited. We'll talk. Babe, على راسك. Leader.
Yeah, but we thank our many Muslim brothers and sisters.
Christian. Oh,
Christian.
Yeah, so I'm going to have Mike as the chairman just open it up and welcome the religious group.
Perfect.
Up.
Perfect.
But you talk about dignitary and everybody else.
Do we have to say all the dignitaries that are here?
No.
And everything?
Okay, it's up to you. I'm
I
not
don't
going to
think we
be the
have to.
Sheikh of it. I don't want to offend him.
You just recognize the Sheikh.
And all I'm introducing the Sheikh. There's no
Yeah.
When I come up, I'll say thank you to all the dignitaries. I don't need to go name by name.
Okay, that's fine.
In the beginning, there was going to be economics.
Yeah.
So, just be careful.
Right now,
Like after you speak right in the beginning, like there's going to be someone reciting Quran.
with Sheikh Ahmed, that's how I'm going to be speaking first. I'm going to thank
So do you want
everybody.
after them to somebody come up?
How long is the recitation of the Quran?
2 minutes.
Perfect.
Perfect.
That's perfect.
Perfect.
So you want it before or after?
I think we should open up with it. So welcome the
Did you meet the student, Hassan?
Is Sheikh Ahmed reading the Quran?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, he's reading the Quran?
No.
Okay.
He says here.
شو حبيبي فيش حدا حسب الشيء.
Who's doing the Quran?
We have Fayz.
Okay, so we're gonna Mike is gonna open up and welcome him up right away. 2 minutes, and then Mike, on behalf of it, is gonna welcome up the Sheikh and the Rabbi, and recognize that our Christian pastor is gonna be there. Is that cool?
Right after that, the Quran.
Then I'll come up right after that, and
Christian pastor's going to be here.
could not be here at the same time as Mass.
Because their service today.
I have it. I have it written right there for him.
Can you bring more Fayz in stage?
We'll go there right after you recite the Quran. Right?
Yeah, have it set up. Assalamu alaikum. The program will begin in 5 minutes.
can move this. Yeah. Yeah. Rabbi Asher. No, hold on. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. On behalf of the Islamic Center and the Board of Trustees, I do appreciate everybody attending and coming forward. And like Imam Ali alayhi salam have said, that there are two types of people out there, you brothers in faith or you mankind. And that proves we're all brothers right here standing together and reject the hate and the resentment for any religion or any attack, for people seeking peaceful place in the worship where they were attacked. And now I would like to ask Al-Hajj Rafiq Habhab to come recite Surah Al-Quran. Thank you.
السلام عليكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباءهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا آثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين صدق الله العلي العظيم وصدق الرسول الكريم الفاتحة.
And now I would like to call an Imam of the Islamic Center of America, Sheikh Hammoud, and I would like to recognize the Sheikh Imam Mardini and the Rabbi Asher Lupton, and appreciate for coming. And our brothers and sisters in the Christian, we had their service today. They did express they would like to attend, but due to the timing and we have it early in the morning, we're unable to attend. But we definitely always stand united, and we feel one and the other. And I would like to ask Sheikh Hammoud to come up, please. Thank
you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the most merciful. brother and sister, our distinguished and official, peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We stand here today to take our responsibility to show the whole world this kind of acts. It has no place in our community and society, and we should send that message to the whole world, everywhere. From now on, we should be careful, every one of us, what we say, our speak, talk, act. We should think what kind of future we're planning to have for our kids. Future of killing, hate, or the future of unity, love, help each other, stay together. This is the message of God. Through the religion, this is what we understand the religion. The religion, it's to work with the others, give the help to anyone needs your help, and love anyone and respect anyone. We'll have some difference. Yes, it's okay. But everyone, should act as a human being with the others. I'm glad to see you here today. This is a strong message for those people. They trying to change our world, to change our future. So we should tell them, you will not be successful. We are gonna stand up together and face that challenge and will be successful. We are gonna plan, all what we like to see in our future for our kids. The love, unity, and this is the new future. We like it for our kids here and everywhere in the world. We ask the God, we pray to God to help us to do this. I know it's not easy, it's gonna be hard. We pray for Him to guide our leaders to do the right things for our people everywhere, to bring the justice, the equal for all the American and all the human being in the world. They work together and there is no different if they have different faith or race or color. I wish you, inshallah, the peace. I wish you the best in your life, and let us pray to stay together for our future and our kids. Thank you very much.
It's a great honor and comfort to be here and to be representing the Jewish community here in this difficult time for the Muslim community. And I must say that after our tragedy in Pittsburgh, the Muslim community came out and you were so supportive to us, and that meant so much. And I must also say that even on Friday, I went to Salat at 1:40 in Bloomfield Hills, and I went to comfort, and I found that I was comforted by your prayers and by your greetings and your warmth. We have a common enemy, people of faith, good people, Jews, Muslims, Christians have a common enemy of hatred against us, and we have to stick together, and we have to look out for each other. And now, from now on, when we see each other, let's say, can I help you? Can I be with you? Can I comfort you? And I want to say that those who try to kill us and try to fight us, they want us also to separate from each other. They want to fill our hearts with hatred and with fear. And let's make a commitment that we fill our hearts, with love and with support and with strength. I just want to end by saying a brief prayer in Hebrew. Islam, things begin with the Fatiha, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and that is the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. We have a prayer. when we remember those who have been killed in any circumstances, but certainly praying in a mosque. We have a prayer that's called El Malay Rachamim, the same Rahmani, God filled with mercy. And I would just like to say it for one moment to remember those who have fallen in New Zealand, those all over who fall because of hatred, because those that can't stand that they are alive and in this world bringing love. El Malay Rachamim, Shochein Bamrumim, Hamsei Menucha Nechona Al Kanfei HaShechina, B'malot Kedoshim Utorim, Kezohar Rakim Asirim, L'nishmot Kol Elu Shenaflu B'New Zealand, B'terror, B'avor Shekulanu Mikpalim B'Araskar Nishmotehem B'Gan Eden Te Menuchatam, L'chein Bal Rachamim Yasireihem B'Seitek Nafav Olamim, V'yitzor b'tzorachem v'nishmotehem Adonai u'nachalatam v'yanuchu v'shalom ha'mishkavotehem v'nomar Amen. I deeply thank you for your warmth and for your greetings, and I look forward to working together in solidarity.
May the peace, blessing, and tranquility be with all of you. We thank you so much because you are demonstrating the language of tolerance coming from your heart, who you came today to stand against evil, all forms of evil. God, the Creator, told us that we are one, and He said, "Inna hadihi ummatukum ummatan wahida, wa ana rabbukum fa'budun." God said, your nation is one nation, and I am your Lord, so worship me. And the Prophet, from his teaching, he told us how to live as brothers and sisters, and he said, Al-Anbiya'u ikhwa, wa dinuhum wahid. The prophets are brothers, and their religion is one. Their religion is tolerance, peace, justice, equality for all. I ask you to stand for one moment of silence, to all of those innocent fall at the hands of murderers. May God bless you. Let me express my thanks and appreciation to all of you who took the time of your busy schedule, whether you are a public servant, a dignitaries, those that took the oath to serve the people and stand tall against all enemies, domestic and abroad. And I pray to all of you that you choose to come and stand and recognize that you stand against evil in all form. May God bless you, reward you, and let us live together, support each other, defend each other, as God said, وَلَوْلَا دَفْعُ النَّاسِ بَعْضَهُمْ بِبَعْضٍ لَهُدِّمَتْ مَسَاجِدُ وَبِيَعُ وَصَلَوَاتٌ يُذْكَرُ فِيهَا اسْمُ اللَّهِ. What we do today is we call upon each other to apply wisdom and understanding, so we'll protect all the places to learn how to live in peace and tolerance, the places of worship. So may God bless you, and may God reward you. And I thank deeply to all the clergy who came to pray with us on Friday. And I pray also and thank for our counties, our cities, and our state. And may God bless America. Thank you, and God bless you.
And again, I want to thank each and every one of you, and I want to also recognize our great Imam, Imam Ilahi. He's with us, and we appreciate his always first in the role of any cause for Islam and community and justice, and we greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. I bring you the greetings of peace First and foremost, I'd like to thank the Islamic Center of America for opening their doors and for hosting this gathering this evening, or this morning, rather. I'd like to thank all of you who trekked near and far to be with us. I'd like to thank our Wayne County Sheriffs and our Dearborn Police Department ensuring the highest levels of safety and security here today. In the morning after the tragic events in Christchurch, New Zealand, my sister Fadwa Hammoud called me. And we were both angry. Angry at the direction in which society continuously heads. And we asked, how can we channel our anger? And decided that this gathering of communities who have suffered at the hands of hate and terror would be one means of channeling that energy. And allow me to note that this gathering is not for any single individual, but rather this gathering is for communities who have been at the hands of hate and terror. And today, although we send our condolences, although we send our thoughts and prayers to the victims, not only in Christchurch, but the victims of hate and terror, wherever they may be, today also happens to be a rally cry to marginalized communities who are suffering. This Tuesday, God willing, I turned 29. And since the age of 11, since the travesty of the 9/11 attacks, our faith, our ethnicity has continuously been vilified by those in the media, by those in elected office all around the globe. And frankly, I am tired. We are tired. Tired of being called on to condemn acts of terror that have nothing to do with our faiths. Tired of those in power refusing to act when tragedy strikes time and time again. And we should look to an example in New Zealand, where following the tragedy, they are moving to ban semi-automatic weapons. They are providing financial assistance to the families, not only for the funeral services, but in the years that they will need to get their lives back together, whatever they are able to piece back together. We are tired of needing to justify our identities in order to prove our Americanness. And tired of watching children grow, never feeling welcomed in the lands that they were born in. Tired of hearing individuals with power spew words of vitriol, be they village presidents in Kalkaska, Michigan, or be they the president of the most powerful nation in the world. We need to recognize that with freedoms come responsibilities. And we cannot discount the far-reaching consequences of hate speech and their direct influence on emboldening and empowering identities that perpetuate discrimination and violence. We live in dangerous times. And unless we unite in our efforts, we will continue to be targeted in Orlando, in Pittsburgh, in Christchurch. And unless we stand united in combating our common enemy, white nationalism, extremism, neo-Nazis, we will continue to fall. And today we are here to express that we need all do better. Done are the days of dividing ourselves, because even our enemy sees us as one. Done are the days where politicians can walk into our communities, seek our resources in exchange for lip service. We are here today to say that we will hold you accountable, starting with myself. And to the electeds, you need to understand that if you are not firm in your stance for all victims, unilaterally and unequivocally, if you do not side with the oppressed in every corner of this earth, if you do not side with justice wherever there is injustice, you are not our friend nor our ally. You do not get to pick and choose who is deserving of humanity, or a dignified life, or a life lived without fear of hate and terror. So if you stand in solidarity here today and you take to this podium, know that you stand with the victims and communities under attack in Christchurch, Orlando, Quebec, Pittsburgh, Sutherland Springs, with Black Lives, and Palestine. I am here today expressing my commitment to stand against injustice anywhere, and hope that those of you here today renew that commitment or take that vow for a first time. So thank you so much for being here, and I'd like to welcome Osama Siblani. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. How can the future be so dim when we have such a bright leader like Abdullah? So, first of all, thank you. Thank you for coming, not only this morning, but yesterday, and the day before yesterday, and last week, and the week before, and last month, and the month before. We have been gathering and condemning and standing against hate for years in this country. And it's time we start acting about it. It's not like every time there is a massacre committed somewhere in this country, we call it mass shooting. We talk, we get angry, we say we should revisit the gun laws in this country, and then 2 days we forget. Then we are doomed to do it again. There are people in this country and around the world that they are spreading hate and dividing us. If they succeed, shame on us. They should not be successful. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how strong they are. It doesn't matter what kind of a position they hold in this world. The power of the people is much bigger and much stronger. But if the people are divided, and if they succeed in pitting us against other, Jews against Muslims, Christians against Muslims, Muslims against Christians, they probably at this time, they look and they see maybe they are successful. But you know what? Look around you, and you can see that they never succeed because they do not understand. History, leaders that divide people. Hitler is an example. History will not forgive the leaders that pit us against each other. The history is an example. These people don't understand history. You know what? I am tired. I'm tired because every day and every week we are about killing, murdering, hatred. I'm a publisher of a newspaper. I'm tired of writing stories and publishing stories about hatred and killing. I'm tired of apologizing for something I did not do, you did not do. I apologize on your behalf. We are tired. And yes, Abdullah, we demand leadership that stands up against hatred and against terror. Yes, we do. There is no excuse for white supremacists. We condemn those radicals in our society, it doesn't matter what religion they belong to and what ethnicity they belong to, whether they are white, black, or yellow, or indifferent. We have done it in our community. The other day I was sitting with a top law enforcement official before this tragic incident happened. And you know what? Him and I were very concerned about the same thing. And I remember that person who is with us here today saying, you know what my concern, Osama? That someone takes a gun and shoot and kill Muslims in a mosque. Sure enough, it happened, but not in here in New Zealand. We must make sure that it will never happen in this country. And we should hold our leadership responsible. As I said, I look at you, I look here, and I see hope. Yes, some of our leaders are not up to par. I mean, we know that, right? But some of them are. And one of those leaders is Dana Nessel, the Michigan Attorney General, who made promises and she kept. I would like to welcome to the podium our sister, the leader, the top cop in Michigan, Dana Nessel.
Thank you, Osama. I really appreciate those kind words. Abdullah, you and I have something in common. I also have a birthday coming up where I will also be turning 29. So watch for that. 29-ish. So it's always an honor and a privilege to be here with all of you in Dearborn, although, of course, I wish it was under happier circumstances. I certainly would like to begin by offering my condolences and prayers to the 50 innocent souls who lost their lives last week in New Zealand, and to their families and loved ones, and to those who survived and are wounded, and we offer our hope that they will heal quickly. And while this tragedy may have occurred all the way across the world, the acts of the terrorists who committed these heinous acts, they inspire fear here in America, and here in Michigan, and especially here in Dearborn, right? And to places where we expect to be free of the violence, of intolerance, hatred, and bigotry. For me, personally, I can't help but think of my own family and our roots here in America. Because my grandparents fled Europe because they wished to be free from those and who wished to exterminate them for no other reason than that they worshipped a different God, or they just worshipped differently from the majority. And so that's what America has always meant to me and to so many of us. It is indeed the land of opportunity, and it is the land of freedom. Freedom to be who we are and to worship any way we like, to any God that we like, or not to worship at all if we choose to do so. We are all the same under the law, and we are all deserving of equal protection that the law affords us. But unfortunately, a dark cloud has risen over our years, and it is a cloud of bigotry, hatred, and intolerance. A cloud of xenophobia, racism, homophobia, and especially Islamophobia. This specter of bigotry has risen to the highest levels of government, and in doing so has emboldened those who now feel protected and encouraged to join with others to revel in that hatred and emboldened to act upon it. But today, here, we stand in solidarity to say loud and clear, not in our country, and certainly not here in our state. Now, since 2016, we have seen an exponential rise in hate crimes in America, and unfortunately, especially here in Michigan. When I ran for the office of Michigan Attorney General, I did so that everyone would know that the top law enforcement official in our state would not abide and would not tolerate those who chose to act upon these insipid and venomous thoughts, and that we would use every tool at our disposal in order to fight back. Within the first 60 days that I took office, we created a hate crimes unit in our office, one of the first in the nation, for the express purpose of protecting each and every person in this state against those who wish to terrorize the people who live here. And we will work relentlessly and tirelessly in cooperation with federal and local authorities in order to do just that. So when you see or hear or read about hatred against you or your community, and you ask yourself, who will protect us? Who will keep us safe? Well, let me tell you right now, the Department of Michigan Attorney General will. And together we will stand up against hatred and intolerance and violence against each and every one of the members of this community and all communities. And let those who wish to harm us know that we will not lie down, that we will fight back, that we will resist, and we will conquer hate working together. And I am so proud of the fact that we have so many people from the Office of Michigan Attorney General here who came today, not just people who live in this neighborhood, not just people who live in the metro area, but from people all around the state who wanted to stand in solidarity. If you work for the Office of Michigan Attorney General, would you please stand up, all of you? Thank you for being here and for your support. And right now, I would like to introduce to you someone who is very special to me, and I know very special to a lot of people here. A few months ago, I appointed the first Muslim American Solicitor General in the history of the United States. And she is an incredible woman by the name of Fadwa Hammoud. And let me tell you this, I chose Fadwa not only because I believed that she would be a fierce advocate on behalf of the Muslim community, but because I knew that she would be a fierce advocate on behalf of all communities here in the state of Michigan. I am proud to call her my Solicitor General, but I'm even more proud to call her my friend. Will you join me up here, Fadwa? Ladies and gentlemen, Fadwa. Assalamu alaikum. I am an American, immigrant Muslim woman, the daughter of immigrant parents. Yes, I stand before you as the Solicitor General of our great state, but I also stand before you as a grieving mother who is worried for her own children and our communities. And like you, Abdullah, and Osama, I am sick and tired of attending memorials and vigils after massacres committed by hate-driven extremists who hide behind military-style weapons that do not belong in civilian hands. How many more times do we have to be here? I asked myself, how many more children? As I held my own 3- and 4-year-old children when I learned of Musad Ibrahim. Abdullah, he didn't, who was 4 years old. Both brutally murdered in this tragedy simply because they belonged to immigrant Muslim families. I thought of my Muslim grandmother as I watched the faces of people on the screens who looked like her and those she loved, people who prayed like her, who dressed like her, who loved being in a community with fellow worshipers like she does. My grandmother lived through war, and her prayer for times when her life or the lives of those she loved were in danger was this: may God protect everyone, so that we may be among those who are protected. As a Muslim, that's how I found myself responding to the unspeakable massacre in New Zealand. May God protect everyone. Hindus, Christians, Jews, people of every religious faith, and those with no religious faith at all. Everyone, so that Muslims can be among those who are protected. But I need to be honest with you, and I have to tell you that I worry. As a public servant, I worry when I see public officials in our country's highest offices use their platforms to talk about immigrants as invaders. Well, let's be clear. The rhetoric of racism and bigotry is the real invasion of values and democracy. The troubling invasion we are witnessing worldwide is the invasion of fear, which we will fight with optimism. It's the invasion of prejudice, which we will fight with tolerance, and it's the invasion of hate, and we will fight hate with hope. So today, I want you to know, as you process and as you grieve after this horrific tragedy, know that you have a Michigan Attorney General's office that stands with the Muslim community. An office that is working tirelessly to protect you and all communities, all Michigan communities, from hateful violence. And that is how we will honor those lives. The lives of our brothers and sisters and children who were senselessly massacred in New Zealand. I am proud to stand alongside our Attorney General, Nessel, who understands that times like this call for more than just prayers and well wishes. We need action. And she has taken by establishing a hate crimes unit with at the Attorney General's office, with Attorney Sunita Doddamani at the help. Hate Crimes Unit Director Sunita is here. She is an incredible fighter, a diligent lawyer, and a proud daughter of immigrants. I'm proud to call her up to the microphone at this time.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sunita. I am the director of the Hate Crimes Unit at the Attorney General's office. I myself am a first-generation American, like so many of you that are here today. I come from a family of immigrants. I was born a Hindu. I'm here to tell you that we stand with you. I'm here to tell you that the state and all the resources of the Attorney General's office stand with you. We are committed to your safety. We are committed to your well-being. We are committed to your ability to worship in your communities safely. We all live here as one. And I'm here to tell you that even just having this unit in the Attorney General's office sends a message that hate will not be tolerated in this state. Thoughts and prayers are not enough. I'm here to offer you action. I'm here to say that if you have a hate crime committed against you, you should contact us. We will investigate all credible tips. Take out your phones right now if you'd like. The number to call us is 313-456-0180. If you don't want to write it down right now, it is on our website. Contact the Attorney General's office and we will stand with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to call up on our Congresswoman who has been with this community for, I won't say how many years, Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, followed by her Congresswoman Brenda.
Thank you, Abdullah. I've spoken at a number of events over this weekend, and many of you have already heard me. I actually sounded like Abdullah and Osama with my anger and my passion. I've also expressed, like every speaker has this morning, that I am tired of the fear and the hatred that is dividing this country. But Friday night, I said I was tired of thoughts and prayers. They didn't work anymore. I wasn't going to pray anymore. Sheikh Hammoud was very wise and gently gave me comfort Friday night and gave all of us that were gathered there. I said I felt that they were meaningless, so why pray? And he answered that why. And you have brought me great comfort all weekend. I've spoken very strongly about the internet and the social media, which is launched as a forum of unity, yet where people now attack one another and their vitriolic rhetoric is contributing, as my previous speakers have spoken of, to what is happening, and how every one of us has a responsibility to stand up to this kind of hatred that is in this country. Yesterday, at a vigil in Ann Arbor, 4 of the New Zealand victims. Thankfully, it was not a true shooting, but panic spread throughout that diag, and people were knocked down, and we were reminded at a gathering of peace, of what the threat of a shooter is. So when I got home last night, I thought of the Sheikh and your words of wisdom, the words of my priest at Mass myself today, and the rabbi I stood next to in the diag yesterday, and the wisdom that they have all given me about the power of prayer, and urge me not to be discouraged and to never say, I won't pray again. I'm going to pray, but I just think those words have got to have more meaning behind them. So I want to share the prayer that I wrote last night. God, my Father, we're here before you once again after another shooting, another senseless act of violence, another act of hatred. We ask that you grant a perfect rest under your tabernacle of peace to the victims of terror throughout the world. Men and women and children whose lives have been cut off by this witless aggression. This week, we added 2 more mosques in New Zealand to the list of places where innocents have been murdered and wounded. We ask you to receive into your loving care the souls of those who were killed, to care for those who were wounded or hurt in any way, to console the family members and friends of those who died or who were wounded, to strengthen the hands of rescue workers, medical professionals, and caregivers. We also ask you to remember with love the survivor of these horrors. Grant them shelter and solace, comfort and consolation, blessing and renewal. Grant them endurance to survive, strength to rebuild, faith to mourn, courage to heal, and devotion to each other. But God, I need your help. All this makes me inexpressibly tired and sad. I am tired of those who have been exploited and continue to exploit bigotry and weaponize hate for political gain, targeting traditionally persecuted peoples, including Muslims and Jews, African Americans, Latinos, Native Americans, Asia Americans, and Pacific Islanders, and other people of color, Hindus, Sheikhs, LGBT community, immigrants, and others with verbal attacks, incitement, and violence. It is not right. I am tired, God, of the hateful rhetoric spewed by far too many. I'm tired of Islamophobia, xenophobia, anti-Semitism, racism, and all the other isms. I'm tired of the unwillingness for too many to see this as an important issue. I'm tired of those in power who work to prevent any real change. And I'm tired of those who say that gun violence cannot be reduced. I'm angry, God. I'm angry at the seemingly powerlessness of our community and the world to prevent these acts. I'm angry that these shootings happen at all. Help me see in these emotions the desire to change, your own desire for change. Help me see in these feelings you're moving all of us to act. Help me see in these reactions you're pushing us to do something. Because I know this is your way to move people to action. I must have faith that you have a plan. And I do know you desire action. So help me to answer these questions. How can I help? How can I help stop this madness? How can I be an instrument of peace? How can I effectively fight hatred and bigotry? How do I fight gun violence? How do I work with my colleagues and other political leaders to enact change? How can I help people understand that this is an issue about life and community for all of us? I'm also very sad, God, about the loss of life. Tired of excuses for the loss of life, and so angry that we are paralyzed by the loss of life. So I pray that you will help me and others turn sadness into compassion, turn tiredness into advocacy, turn paralysis into the freedom to act. Help us be compassionate, to advocate, and to act. Where there is hate, sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And as you have taught us to embrace inclusiveness, tolerance, and unity. And may all of us here have the responsibility for helping to lead the way.
I stand here today as a Black woman in America with a long history of being a victim of discrimination, a long history of learning how when people come together in some of the most horrific moments, how we have been able to transform the message, the climate of our country. I am so proud to be able to serve in this great state and in one of the most diverse areas in the world. Martin Luther King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So while we stand here today because of something that happened miles and miles away from home, it jabbed us in our gut because it's our family, our people, it's human beings, and it's being driven by hate. I will tell you this great country that I took a pledge serving in Congress that we say one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. And I want to tell everyone here whose heart is grieving, we cannot give up. The fact that we're still standing and we have the courage to gather here today is our call to action. Sometimes we get complacent because my family's okay. My children are doing well. And sometimes the earth shakes. The earth has been shaken. And so for everyone who's frustrated and tired, I say don't give up. Don't give up because there is always hope. Why do you think those who want to destroy us attack our places of worship? The church in North Carolina, the synagogue, and now a mosque. If they can get us to throw away our faith, if they can get us to lay down and accept this, they win. And that's why all of us in this room is so important today. As a black little girl standing at the feet of my grandmother, she told me one day when we were watching the riots and the dogs being sicked on black people in the South, and tears was in her eyes, and she said, Brenda, as a black woman in America, you're gonna spend the majority of your life forgiving people. She said, because if you keep that hate inside of you, it'll consume you. It will oppress you. And those who want to oppress you and oppress you will win. Let it go. Forgive them. And she said, you're gonna have to spend the other part of your life educating people because racism is ignorance. It's ignorance. So I stand here today in a unique position, standing with my colleague Debbie Dingell and my colleague Rashida Tlaib, to be in the U.S. House of Representatives, to stand up for laws and policies and to not be silent. Because we have a platform and we have a unique voice. Because this is my family, this is my community, these are my doctors, these are my people that I live, love, and respect every day. I don't have the ignorance of stereotypes. And so I stand together with my colleagues to say we have a lot of work to do, and I will not stop. I will not be silent. And when we talk about peace in this world, there are many conversations we need to have. Many about the oppression in so many places in the world. I'm with you. My prayers and my fight. God bless you.
Thank you, Debbie, and thank you, Brenda. You know, one thing that our community should be proud of, and the non-Muslims and non-Arabs, they should even be aware of, that we are not away. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many of us you're going to kill. We're going to come back on Friday in larger number to the mosques. You know, on September 11, they thought that they are going to scare us. So we pack and leave. Instead, We sent Rashida Tlaib to Lansing. And Abdullah Hammoud, he was 11 years old on September 11. He is now in Lansing. We sent others to City Council. We have the president of the City Council in Dearborn and here, our sister. And our brother, Mike. And now Sam is gone to the commission. They shoot at us. We come back with peace and love. You know what? They attack us. We sent Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib to the Congress of the United States of America. So I say to them, you want to kill us, keep killing us. We're going to keep coming back to Lansing, to the Congress, and perhaps to the White House. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podium Rashida Tlaib.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I think my brother Osama doesn't even get it. Not only with peace and love do we come back with, but the truth. The truth is we have a president of the United States that has not condemned white nationalism in this country. And I wanted my brothers and sisters, I'm not sure my Palestinian brothers and sisters that stood up, I see you, I hear you, I don't know what it's about, but I'll talk to you later, but I saw you. I just want you to know that. The Department of Justice is looking at white nationalism, white supremacy, terrorism in our country. They have facts, information. We should be having hearings about this. This is domestic terrorism. And this is the truth. Every single time there was an attack and they labeled him a Muslim, which I don't sometimes consider them real Muslims, but that's okay. They asked, can you apologize, Rashida? I was like, I'm sorry, are they related to me? No, seriously, like, condemn it. Well, I'm saying to my white people, Americans across this country, condemn this attack on the basis of white nationalism, white supremacy. I'll tell you, alhamdulillah, I grew up in Metro Detroit. Because let me tell you something, growing up Muslim and Arab in Metro Detroit is not like growing up anywhere else. We're proud. Our principals are Arab, the police officers are Arab, our city council are Arab, Muslimin are everywhere, mashallah. We're opinionated, we say things we want to say, we're very much confident. But you know what I worry about? I worry about that 13-year-old boy that's wondering why they are shooting at a masjid, at a mosque, in the middle of Louisiana, in Mississippi, in North Carolina. You know, growing up in a predominantly black community, I felt so safe. I felt belonged. I felt protected by my mothers in Detroit. But what about the Muslims that are not in communities like ours, where we're surrounded by partners and people that love us and take care of us? And I tell you, that's how I feel sometimes in Congress now. Alhamdulillah, I'm not alone, but I can hear it in the tone, in the way they see me. I'm like a walking bill or policy. Yes, I'm Palestinian, we exist. Yes, I'm Muslim, and guess what? I'm an equal to you. I'm an equal to you that uplift a president that says what he says about Latinos, about gays, about Muslims, about blacks. You hear it in the tone. And it's not just Charleston and Pittsburgh, but Oak Creek. I shed tears at what happened in Oak Creek. This has been happening far too long in our country. And this is domestic terrorism right in our backyard, and we need to do something about it. And we need to hold our elected officials accountable. And let me tell you, silence, that to me is so much more painful than saying something that's, When you're silent, you're saying it's okay. You're letting it be. So speak up.
And let's all demand the most powerful position in this world is the President of the United States, and he must condemn these attacks. And I want to thank, the Fayz family is here. They check up on me all the time, walk me to my car. We share, stand up, the guys, is the Senator Garrica, guys. I want you to know, this is the kind of partnership. This is the kind of love and protection. Where are you going? I'm going to my car. I'm going to walk you to the car. And I'm like, it's okay, Doug, I got it. He goes, no, because he knows 3 days ago I got yet another threat. This is not the America I grew up in. And we must ask for more. Enough.
So you see, that's the kind of people we're going to be sending to Washington, D.C. So if you keep killing us, we're going to respond in an equal fire by sending people like Rashida and Ilhan Omar and Abdullah Hammoud and Suzanne Dabaja and Sam Baydoun. And we're going to continue to do that. But not only that. You see, Rashida said that she gets death threats. I do get them. I get them. And I am not afraid. I am not scared, and I'm not intimidated, and I'm not going to have anybody walking me to a car. Because when I get up in the morning, I know that Dana Nessel is sitting in Washington, in Lansing, and perhaps in Washington, D.C. one of these days, making me safe, feel safe. And so is Fadwa Hammoud next to her. Yeah. And you know what? We do not send to Washington only Arab Americans and American Muslims, but we send good people, like Debbie Dingell. We send her to Washington because she is great. And we have friends, and our friends are growing, so keep killing us. One of our friends is with us in here, and he is the person that was worried about what will happen to a mosque before what happened in New Zealand happened. Please welcome to the podium the U.S. Attorney General and U.S. Attorney for the United States of America in the Eastern District, Matthew Schneider.
Thank you, Osama, my friend. My friends, we don't gather today in hate. We gather in peace and in love, correct? As Osama indicated, I am the chief federal law enforcement officer in Michigan. And I am concerned, as Osama and I just met, that our primary concern is hate and murder in a mosque. And we think about it every day. My friends, it's our job in the Justice Department to prosecute people who commit these crimes. But unfortunately, sometimes it's too little and too late. Because once you put somebody in prison, the damage is already done. Those victims, the dead, will not rise, even though you put someone in prison. So what we need to do is condemn every act of hatred. There is no excuse for violence and hatred against Congresswoman Tlaib. There's no excuse for death threats for anyone here. So what we need to do is not just look at it from that perspective. What do we have to do together? My job is all of our jobs. We are all in this together. All of us are in it together. We know from when we see many terrorist attacks, somebody knew. We don't know in New Zealand yet what happened, but all the times we have to wonder, who knew? Who was that person who sold that gun? Who knew ahead of time? Who knew that this person was a problem? Ladies and gentlemen, it's all of our obligations as a community. We must come forward. We must stand up and speak out when we know. If we see something, we must say something. We must do it. In closing, it is an honor to be here, but I'm calling upon all of us, on behalf of the United States Department of Justice, when we see something, stand up. Call Dana Nessel. Call the Attorney General's office. If you know of a hate crime, report it to the Attorney General. If you know of something dangerous, report it to us. Call the FBI. Call the U.S. Attorney's Office. Call us. Let us know, because, again, we are all in this together. Thank you.
Next, I would like to welcome a leader in our community who not only speaks to diversity, but also backs his walk with a lot of talk. Somebody who actually embraces diversity, employs diversity, and who has been a friend and ally to this community for many years. Please help me welcoming Wayne County Executive Mr. Warren Evans.
Assalamu alaikum. You know, it's hard to beat this whole crew here that's talked, and I don't want to reiterate everything they've said, but you know, Rashida said a little while ago that this isn't the country she was born in. It is, unfortunately. The more you are vocal, the more you stand up against oppression, the more you find out about the country that you were born in. And the majority of this country is a great country. But just understand, haters hate. It's what they do. And many of them you're never going to change. What troubles me more than anything else is that silent majority out there who I think in their hearts feel this is bad, but they can't get up and put it into action. They're not bad people. They just don't count because nobody is counting them, because they're not getting up saying, this is sick, this is wrong, this is not what should happen. And so in here, what we would say in my community is, I'm preaching to the choir. Everybody here knows what the issue is. There are an awful lot of good people outside of here that know what the issue is, but it hasn't touched them significantly enough for them to stand up and say, this is not right. This shouldn't happen. We are a country of immigrants. All of us, except Native Americans, are immigrants. Now, my relatives didn't get the opportunity to voluntarily come over here, but we're here and we're Americans. And so I'm troubled by the inherent hypocrisy of a group of immigrants deciding just what immigrants can be U.S. immigrants. I mean, it's almost in my mind lunacy. Who gets to judge that? Who gets to determine that? Wayne County is a county, and I think I smile every time I look around here, because we as a county have shown the commitment, the diversity, the ability to become a part of the community for decades, and not just me through my leadership, but people before me. We have been accepting and understanding that this will not be a great community unless we're all included and we have respect for each other. And so the law enforcement here from 9/11 to now, when there are issues in mosques in our community or churches in our community, we respond. And we respond because we love our community, and that includes everybody that's in it. The diversity of this county is its greatest strength. It's what makes it stand out world class from other places. And so, you know, that tunnel vision that looks with suspicion is not who we are about. And so, yeah, I won't take time to re-echo what the others have said, but there's always going to be a struggle in this world. We need to struggle for peace. We need to struggle for acceptance, even though we've earned it. There's always a struggle. But the biggest struggle is people have to speak out against this kind of behavior, and if they don't, they're complicit in it. There's no middle ground there. There can't be. Speaking against an act doesn't signify a love of the people that were there. It's just a basic human decency. I mean, obviously you should feel that way, but just speak out against it, because there are so many people out there thriving on that ability to think craziness is okay. And craziness is not okay. And we just have to do a better job of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Warren. And thank you for your leadership, friendship, and also for including us in your administration. We will not forget that you have included one of our brightest as your chief of staff, which is Asad Turfa, he's here. And also, I wanted to recognize, you know, the dignitaries, but all of you are important people, are dignitaries, and thank you for joining us. But we have a person in here that I'd like to point out and recognize that, which is the Consul General of Lebanon, Susan Mose Yassin. And having said that, I would like also to thank the Sheriff Department and the Chief Mike Jafar, and Benny Napoleon, and all the volunteers and the service people that came from the Sheriff Department, also the Dearborn Police. We appreciate Dearborn Police. And I'd like also to recognize our two judges in the 19th District Court, Chief Judge Gene Hunt and Judge Sam Salami, who are here between us. Having said that, also in the Wayne County, we have friends, but we have brothers also and sisters, and one of our brothers is Commissioner Sam Baydoun. Please welcome him to the podium.
Good afternoon. Before I start my remark, I just want to say, Attorney General Dana Nessel, thank you for your commitment. Thank you. Elected officials, spiritual leaders, community members of all faith traditions, Assalamu alaikum jami'an, peace be upon all of you. Here we are. We meet yet again in a house of worship to mourn the loss of 50 innocent people who were indiscriminately massacred at 2 mosques by a terrorist who was inspired by the xenophobic and Islamophobic rhetorics that are so rampant today. The senseless killing of innocent people in any house of worship is the ultimate form of terrorism, and it must be condemned in the strongest terms by everyone. When we go into a mosque, a church, or a temple, the last thing we need to worry about is being massacred by right-wing extremists, regardless what religion they claim they belong to. There's no religion that can justify the killing of innocent people. So those vile individuals do not belong to any religion or the human race for that matter. The less than 1% of individuals with twisted ideologies do not represent Islam, and we are sick and tired of defending our peaceful religion of 1.6 billion people. So we pose this question: How do we stop this madness? And as my good friend Congresswoman Dingell told me the other day, thoughts and prayers are not enough. And yes, they are not enough. We need action. As we have seen recently, xenophobic, Islamophobic, and anti-Semitic remarks have inspired and continue to inspire the extremist elements to carry out these heinous acts of terrorism against innocent people. We all must come together to eradicate the seeds of hatred that are being planted every day, spewing hateful remarks at Jews, Christians, Muslims, immigrants, and all minorities to score political gains must be rejected and condemned by everyone. We call on all elected officials in all levels of governments and the power brokers of our society to reject hate, bigotry, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and xenophobia, and to work diligently to protect the First Amendment rights of all faith traditions. I want to give a special shout out to our Governor, Gretchen Whitmer, who could not be here today. She is being represented by our community member, Rida Dager. Where are you, Rida? The actions we take today will have a long-lasting impact on future generations to come. Let us embrace inclusiveness, religious tolerance, and unity. Let us stand united together as Americans here in our country to help end this madness. Thank you.
I just wanted to make a program note that Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence, that she came and spoke to you, was not properly introduced or probably recognized, so I would recognize Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence.
There are only two more speakers. Next, we actually have somebody who is a lifelong resident of Dearborn. She is one of our own. She's our city council president. If you help me in welcoming Suzanne Dabaja.
I'm a little shorter than Sam. Assalamu alaikum. So I want to, obviously everyone that has been to this mosque, been to our city, lives here, we want to welcome you back here. But I know I see a lot of faces that possibly have never been to Dearborn, have never been to this beautiful mosque, and I want to, on behalf of our mayor, who sends his regards, he's out of state, on behalf of myself as a council president, on behalf of Councilman Mike Serini, Councilwoman Erin Burns, Councilwoman Leslie Herrick, and our other colleagues, I want to welcome you to Dearborn, and really to a piece of our heart, which is the Islamic Center of America. So I want to thank you guys for coming here today. So I thought about what I was going to say, and the passionate and, I don't want to say angry speeches, I'll stick with passionate speeches given by Abdullah, Osama, Fadwa, Rashida, and everyone that came up here. I feel the same way, and I reiterate it. But I want to give you guys a different perspective. A perspective of that of a mom of 3 children. 3 Muslim children that I'm raising here in the United States. Children very similar to children of parents in here in this audience. Back when I was a teenager, maybe younger, about 12 years old, I went to the Islamic Center of America on Joy Road. I went to Sunday school over there. And I remember one day being told by one of my teachers that there was a hadith by our prophet, Muhammad, and hadith is basically a teaching, and he said, there will come upon the people a time when holding on to the religion, the Muslim religion, will be like holding on to hot coal. Imagine that. Holding on to our religion is like holding on to hot coal. And I thought it was absurd at the time, 12, 13-year-old mind, really couldn't grasp that. Then 9/11 came. It was my first year law school. I think it was the first month of law school. It was. And obviously, I came to a point where we were discussing it in lecture, and I had to explain to someone who called out all Muslims to go out there and protest and show their patriotism that I didn't have to, any more so than he did. And I thought maybe this was the call that our prophet was talking about, but little did I know. Because now, my children are being raised in an environment where their religion is being vilified, not only by private citizens, but by people, shockingly, that are elected to be serve us, the public. It is very difficult to explain that to a child. And so when the massacres happened in Christchurch, I spoke with my son, Adam, and I said, Adam, what do you think? What are your thoughts? And he said, can I be honest, Mom? Actually, what he said, he's 12 years old, he said, can I be real? I said, be real. And he says, Mom, I feel like when a Muslim does something, they attack a so-called Muslim, they're terrorists. When a black person is killed, it's because they were bad. But when a white person kills people, they have mental problems. Why is that the case? And then he paused and he said, and another thing, Mom, we really need to talk about gun control. I swear to God, I never thought I would have a conversation with my 12-year-old son telling me about gun control. It's absolutely absurd. And so I'm going to end with this. So my son is a student, one of almost 400 students that attends the Muslim American Youth Academy here at Maya School, here at the ICA. His sisters, 119, 115, both graduated from here. It goes from preschool to 8th grade. And the reason I bring this up to you is that for years, on September 11th, I would not send my children here because I didn't know what would happen. And now we have one more year where he will serve next year as an 8th grader. And I'll be honest with you, my husband and I have this conversation year after year. Do we register him here at Maya? Can we assure that he will be safe? It is the most excruciating decision to make, that I feel I can't send my son to a school because it's tied to Islamic faith. And so I am going to call on all our elected officials, but especially those that are serving in Washington, D.C., you need to stand up for that 12-year-old and every other student here. And that starts, as Rashida said, at the highest office. I should not have to have fear that one day, being part of the hugest Muslim population outside of the Middle East, that I have to have fear that my son is here praying on Friday prayer because he attends Maya School. Assalamu alaikum.
Next, I'd like to welcome my counterpart in the state Senate, who represents our community as well as parts of Detroit, State Senator Sylvia Santana.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just going to echo right where Susan stopped. Is false evidence appearing real? We must break away from this fear that is impacting all of our communities. When I ran my campaign, I ran on unity, progress, and understanding. And that is something that I am still committed to this day. Making sure that in our communities, especially the communities I represent here, Dearborn, Detroit, and Melvindale, that there's understanding around our communities about all of the people who live in our communities, all of their faiths, all of their beliefs, and all of their backgrounds. This is something that we cannot take lightly. Everyone in this room, look at the person next to you. We are all human life, and human life is so precious. And so we must make sure that as we continue forward, we act. Acting is saying hi to the person next to you even though you don't know them. Understanding a little bit more about them even though they don't look like you. Understanding faith even though you don't practice faith. What happened in any part in a place of pray where they want to have peace, should have heinous killings happening in those places. I want to thank everyone who came up because commitment to peace in our country is so important. Your commitment to peace in Michigan is so important. So let's not walk out of here and let this just be an event where we continue to grieve, continue to talk about issues of hatred. Let's make sure that each and every one of us is walking the walk that we are talking. Let's continue to have unity, progress, and understanding, and commitment to our country and love. Thank you.
Thank you. I know there are many other dignitaries in the room we have not been able to recognize. City Clerk George Duraney, my counterpart in the Senate, State Senator Erica Geis, as well as the Honorable Doug Geis. For those who we have not seen, I apologize. We actually have a student, City Councilman Dearborn Heights, Dave Abdullah, and School Board Trustee Hussein Berry. We actually have a student who would like to share some words, a student of our community. If we can have him come forward, Hassan. If you can all join me in welcoming him. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Just like Abdullah and like Dana, I'll be celebrating a birthday in about 2 months. I'll be turning 29 as well. Actually, I'll be turning 17. So, I want to comment on something that Rashida said. She said, this was not the America I grew up in. This was the America I grew up in. I was born in 2002. That was after 2001. I have not lived for a single second without being marginalized, oppressed, marked off, looked at simply because of my race and who my parents were. And I'm disgusted by that. In fact, let me begin. In Greek mythology, the god of war Ares had 2 sons, Phobos, which translates to fear, and Deimos, which translates to terror. No 2 words more accurately describe what I've seen in the faces of my friends and fellow community members this weekend. It's morbidly impressive that the events in a New Zealand mosque 8,000 miles away could have such a gripping effect on my community. Truth be told, I hate it. It's repulsive that our sanctuaries and places of worship named armed security for us to feel safe. It worries me that my parents have to see me off every single morning and wonder if my school will be the next backdrop for a senseless act of violence. Notwithstanding that, I refuse to back down and retract into my home. I am proud of being American and unapologetically so. I am confident in our police department's ability to protect our people. I do not want to submit to the will of that shooter. And so, I have a brief message to Michigan, and by extension, the Muslim community all around the world. Do not give in. When it seems as if every day becomes more difficult to carry on, and every day we lose more brothers and sisters to tragedy, it is most important then to remember that the one thing that cannot be taken from us is our community. As an American citizen, for the past 16 odd years, our greatest quality is that nobody in this country walks alone. Everyone has family, friends, acquaintances, and coworkers that they can lean on. Take advantage of the close relationships you have and do your best to maintain a strong attitude in the face of adversity. Continue to visit the masjid every Friday for every Jummah prayer. Continue to hope for a better future where people can learn to truly understand one another. Do not forget those who have had their lives stolen from them, but rather live on in memory of their unnecessary sacrifice. In closing, I want to provide a challenge to the group I know best, the youth. Eventually, we will have to become the leaders of our different communities, and we must be prepared to defend our morals and keep the world turning for the next generation, just as the current one has done for us. We must fight for social justice, because we cannot control if the world is going to change. The world will always change. but we can't control how it will change. We must work for the greater good because that's all we can do. The world will only become a better place if we put our minds to it. Thank you.
Thank you. I know our superintendent, Dr. Maleka, was here. We thank you for being here. Concluding words, final speaker, if you'd help me in welcoming the Honorable Judge Sam Salami to the podium.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum. I think our Wayne County Executive spoke about the inherent hypocrisy. And it is indeed appalling that a group of immigrants meet and they appoint themselves to categorize other immigrants. We indeed live in precarious times. This is not about a man violating the sanctity of a mosque, or about someone blowing up a synagogue, or launching an attack on a church. This is a culture of hate, racism, segregation, bigotry, a culture that is fueled by poverty, oppression, and a culture that is promoted, unfortunately, by people in high places. This is the world that we live in. And I will not reiterate or repeat what the other eloquent speakers stated before me, but I will say to you that we must all come together to purge the remaining vestiges of discrimination, and we must all come together to subscribe to the notion that in this world there are only two kinds of people. If a person is not your brother in faith, he is your equal in humanity. And if we subscribe to that notion, the whole world will abide in peace. Thank you very much, and thank you for taking the time to be here. Our condolences to those who fell victims to this atrocity and this vicious attack, and may God bless you all.
Thank you. If I can just ask before everybody leaves, we take just a final moment. If you may recite your own prayer to yourself or a moment of silence of your choosing.
Stand up.
Thank you all so much for being here, and God bless you all. Take care. No? And if on the walkout, if you can sign in the registration forms, we can get your contact information.